270 threshold. So it's official. He's now the president elect of the United States. The second one, uh, who would serve non-consecutive terms, um, after Grover Cleveland during the 19th century.
I've been thinking about this. Like, when was the last time a U.S. president, a Republican U.S. president, was actually elected, dominating the electoral college as well as the popular vote? I think it was the last time was Reagan, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
In terms of
I didn't research that, but uh, Reagan is very popular, not just because of I guess his personality and his former career as an actor, and perhaps his stint during World War II. He
yeah.
also served.
So yeah, it's been all red during his time. Like a majority of, I guess all of the battleground states were actually swung for Reagan to red back then,
Oh,
and I guess the same with Trump, right? All battleground states have swung for him, even the one where Biden actually won Arizona. It makes you think, if Biden actually did continue to run, would Arizona have stayed with him, or would have it have? I guess it would have been much better with Biden, right?
yeah.
If he stuck around. But hindsight is 2020. So currently, the presidential seat is actually with the Republicans. Senate is with them. Congress still, uh, the
Too
tallying of the
close to
votes is
call,
still
but
not done,
still,
but
it's still
most
red.
likely,
I guess it's all red across the board, right?
yeah,
On on both the White House and Capitol Hill.
yeah. If ever, by some miracle, the Democrats actually win Congress, it would mark the first time that a speaker would be African American, right? Because he's actually next in line. I forgot
Yeah.
the gentleman's name.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Hakim Jeffries, right? Thank you.
Oh,
It saves my neck a lot when you find out these things first. I have to look to the right. But yeah,
yeah.
it would have been historic, but then again, I don't think the Democrat needs historic at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they already stole the thunder for the first black president with Barack Obama. So I guess that's the high watermark
Yeah, and
at this point.
yeah, the blue wave didn't actually come.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty much the Trump win is pretty much what the Democrats actually kept saying for the past months now. Like I
Uh-huh.
also said, I'm also guilty of this. Just looking at the trends of the previous elections, like, you would think
Yeah.
what happened with the Republicans is gonna happen for the Democrats, but it turns out to be the other way around.
Yeah. I mean, if you have watched our stream last Monday, uh you have to remember that Christian was more like predicting Kamala Harris
Yeah,
winning.
I
But
admit it.
to be fair, yeah, to be fair, he admitted that he doesn't like it. And
And I did
good thing she
mention,
didn't win.
the only way that she would actually lose those uh if the states that actually flipped blue for Biden actually switched back to Republicans,
Yeah,
that would be the end of her. But what
mm,
surprised me was actually Georgia and
yeah.
Pennsylvania,
Georgia and Pennsylvania were the key states
as well as
for this election.
Nevada. Nevada actually turned red,
Oh
which is
yeah,
usually,
I almost forgot. Nevada is also a swing state.
but they usually vote blue. Las Vegas is there. Like, nothing's more liberal than Las Vegas. Like,
Yeah.
so
That, you know, Vegas is so blue.
yeah. So It's fun to watch the news after all of this, and it's probably the quickest election that was called. I can't remember
Oh,
the last one that it just took 24 hours for a result to actually come in, and people actually decide, yeah,
more.
this is it. This is just it.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
more recount.
More or less. More or less 24 hours. Yeah.
Well, I will give Hillary this during her time when she noticed that she was actually losing. She actually gave Trump a call immediately.
Mm.
Harris is is still having her beauty nap, so
there's still no statement from her
at least from
at this time.
at least from our information right now, no
Uh,
statement has been made regarding her conceding the election. I think she's trying to pull a Trump, maybe until the last minute, when the Congress vote actually ends. It doesn't actually
boy.
make sense. I think they dodged something here by not winning because even if Kamala actually wins, Senate and Congress being both run by Republicans, do you think she can do anything?
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
actually. It feels different than when Trump actually won in 2016 because people were assuming that Trump would actually get another term after that. This one, pretty much we're resigned to 4 years of Trump and that's it.
Yeah.
Biggest question then is, would the Democrats actually ever touch the presidency again? Since I feel like Trump is about to just reverse every policy that the Democrats had done and might possibly shape the Supreme Court in the favor of
Mhm.
Republicans by making it just all Republicans at this point.
Oh yeah.
Like Chris
That's
did
there.
mention that they have a law in their there's a law in their constitution that actually prevents that from happening.
Mhm.
But Trump has done a lot of things that are not in the constitution, and he's managed to find a lot of loopholes. Whether it
Oh.
would be sharing his tax returns that weren't actually in writing in the constitution, it was just agreed upon by everyone back then, and putting your company, if you have a business, into a blind trust that wasn't in the constitution. So
Uh,
this is a guy who lived his life actually looking for loopholes, and I think he would find some the second time around, that he's much more, Jesus Christ, I don't want to say smarter.
mhm.
I think experienced is the correct
Yeah.
term.
Yeah. Experience is a is a correct term.
Yeah. So in a sense, as us minus one white privilege, as us being
Yeah.
both Filipinos here, what do you think is gonna be
Yeah.
the effect in our country?
Oh yeah. That's a very good question. What's it going to be for our country? Because um you know uh for for all intents and purposes, uh our we are yet to experience, not really experience, but we are yet to let's say, uh how do I say this? We are yet to have a very concrete relationship with Trump, because during the time that he was president, during the his first term, Duterte was was our president here. And you know the sentiments of Rodrigo Duterte, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty Trump pretty much idolized him,
No shit.
right? So that's who he gravitates to, like strong, definitely leaders that actually can rule if given the chance with an iron fist,
Uh,
right? And as evident as where we are now, like accusations regarding Duterte being a dictator never actually came to fruition since we have a new president at the moment. So
yeah.
all of those were actually, all the fear mongering were actually unfounded.
Yeah. And besides, the the new president is basically Um,
He's
the
less
new president
prickly.
is, yeah, he's less prickly, and at the same time, he's let's just say he's a legacy politician, just like his dad during the time that when Reagan was still U.S. president.
Every time we mention Reagan, I keep thinking about the Australian breakdancer.
Reagan.
Like that phonetic pronunciation actually is tainted for me now.
Oh shit.
Ronald Reagan. I keep picturing Reagan in a breakdancing suit. Like someone photoshopped that for me, or I might do it myself. Yeah, it is a different time. Like Trump is the president of the United States now. He might have a different relationship with Marcos because it seems like Marcus Jr., Little Mark, as I like to call him,
Yeah.
Little MC,
Or
it seems like a bit
some Filipino sectors are saying baby M.
Baby M,
Yeah.
uh, BBL Marcos,
Uh-huh.
is a bit more of a pacifist, considering everything.
Yeah.
I feel like those that are pushing the Philippines to go in the direction of like let's take our stance regarding China. We were much more aggressive during the Duterte time, right?
Yeah.
Even though people have accusations regarding relationships, now I don't feel like Marcos has any stance regarding what's happening with China. It's the senators that are actually pushing for him to actually make a move,
Yeah.
and also the military. So, do you think our president right now would be getting any respect from the U.S.? Because say what you want about our country is still actually dependent on what's happening in the West. Because among all of
Mhm.
the Asian countries, our culture is more attuned with them rather than the rest of Asia.
Yeah.
So our way of life, the brands that we support, our way of living, like a majority of it is actually still reflective of during the
And
times when we were actually a territory back then.
yeah. I mean, let's not forget that the Americans basically uh influenced influenced us to the point that we sadly forgot how to speak Spanish. No, numero uno, that's one. Secondly, um, you know, even though we are industrialized and all that,
Yeah.
it discredited the industrial efforts of the Spaniards. Basically, the Spaniards have been too demonized because of the Americans. And finally, because the Americans stayed for such a long time, we became a target of the Japanese during the Second World War.
Yeah. In terms of being associated with them, like to some extent, the colonization of them. I feel like I don't know if it's just me with this opinion, but I feel like the colonization back there with the U.S. regarding the Spanish is actually much better compared
Yeah.
to because we are just a byproduct of the Japanese invading us just because the Americans were actually here. I don't know if Japan would actually look at us, but if you think about it, the location of the Philippines is pretty strategic. I wouldn't be surprised if
Yeah.
they actually looked our way after a couple of years, even if the Americans actually weren't here.
Uh huh.
So I forgot which video was it, but if you remove the Philippines from the map, it's just gonna be an entirely open ocean,
Yeah.
right? So
It's
we
gonna
are
be an
really a
entirely open ocean.
yeah,
Uh huh.
and the trade would actually just be passing through. But since we are in the middle of everything, like it makes us a strategic point, both economically and in terms of the military.
And it's not just during the period of the Americans. The Spaniards understood it.
Yeah.
The prehistoric Filipinos understood it. The uh, the numerous polities uh, in the modern Southeast Asia and perhaps Imperial China during that time understood it. So yeah,
You think
it's really yeah.
with Trump being president again, and I remember he actually tried once during his first term to bolster the military strength of America here in the Philippines back then, right?
Yeah,
Do you think he would still actually continue that, or would he look
I
more
mean,
towards the Ukraine front and actually try to resolve that first? Because he does have a good relationship with Putin.
yeah, that's the problem because you know, uh Trump has to balance this balance the Ukraine situation first because um sure he has some direct lines with Putin, but at the same time, uh to be fair to the US and its involvement with the NATO alliance, it's gonna be he has to I don't want to say soften up, but uh put things into perspective that not everything is as it seems. It's layers upon layers of diplomacy. It's layers upon layers of loopholes and
Yeah.
and how do I say this? Policies and all that shit.
Yeah. So in terms of in terms of our economy at the moment, like I don't know how strong the peso is to the dollar at this point. I haven't checked yet, but I figure there's gonna be some fluctuations by tomorrow until
For sure.
the inauguration.
Speaking of the markets,
Do you have an update on that?
yeah. Wait a minute. Just checking the
Yeah,
because
ladies and
I
gentlemen,
also
if you're just tuning
yeah
in,
it
Trump won.
yeah the Philippine yeah come on Kamal yeah
Time for you to
as I was
accept
saying
your fate.
yeah
Yeah.
as I was saying, the Philippine Stock Exchange
Yeah.
dropped by 92.52 points today
Hmm.
at 7165.42. Come to think of it, this is a much higher position for the Philippine Stock
Yeah.
Exchange prior I mean compared to
Yeah.
when
But the
Trump left office
yeah, but the
first
last
time.
time we actually experienced an election, it was actually a pandemic. So any comparison with the last time that Trump was actually in an election year is kind of tainted. Any data with it, like there is
Yeah,
still that
that's fair.
factor. Everyone's currency has actually has depreciated back then.
Yeah. And come to think of it, this is a you know it's a decline, yes, but it's not a steep decline. It's not to the point of hundreds. Although this is almost going 100 points
Yeah.
because 92.52 that's big. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm curious. The U.S. actually regarding Trump's win usually talk about right now the biggest factor in him actually winning is actually the Latino vote. So
yeah,
when are we gonna be talking about the Filipino vote that actually helped him? Because I figured a lot of Filipinos would actually just be voting for Trump instead of actual Harris. In terms of our culture, our beliefs, how
oh yeah,
dumb we think
yeah.
things are now there. And I know it's not just me. that's
Yeah,
happening with the Democrats on board. Like I was in favor of
they're
them before.
and those observations are not just are not just
Yeah,
from yeah, from those who voted for Trump, but it's a common observation that
yeah,
the Democrats have absolutely alienated all of their supporters.
yeah. It's a common fear for us Filipinos to actually like we have our own culture here. Like we're the weirdest one in Asia in
Oh
terms
yeah,
of our identity. Like we're
exactly. Because
Asians with westernized first name and a Latino last name. So try to find somewhere that's like that.
technically anglicized first name,
Yeah.
Hispanized last name. Take it from me.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. Much more layman's. But yeah, we're quite unique when it comes to culture in Asia.
Hmm.
My issue with this is even though we're here in the Philippines, we can already feel that what's happening in the US is not going to be acceptable within our own country. Much more for the Filipinos that are actually there experiencing it.
Unless they have been I don't want to say
Indoctrinated,
brainwashed,
unless they have been indoctrinated
indoctrinated.
by the policies.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
also a tendency of Filipinos when they actually go abroad,
Hmm.
right? It's not even for the
They
sake
leave.
of logic. It's just they just
Yeah,
want to belong and fit in.
exactly.
Like we have a tendency to actually do that. Like we're chameleons, whichever country you actually go to. Even in the
We're
terms of
natural. Yeah,
we're natural
we're
chameleons.
natural chameleons. Yeah.
Like I think I'm not talking out of line here when I'm talking of my own people. Like we're so good at adapting to other countries that we take their accents, provided
Oh
we are of age that can actually be taught.
yeah,
Right?
that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we have a lot of call centers here. Even though we haven't been to the U.S., a majority of us have American accents. They can actually program it.
Exactly.
Like
Right.
I was actually trained in a call center before, and that's and the way they program people there is actually pretty funny.
Exactly. I've also experienced that kind of work before as well. So I can also relate. And you know what? It's also it's also the same thing if we retain our our fluency in Spanish. Our Spanish might be aligned more to,
Yeah,
let's say, um
it's still a
Spain
language. Like the
itself.
Filipino language is more percussive, just like the Spanish language.
Yeah. And it's not just a language. Most of our Filipino languages are based in Spanish.
Yeah,
And there's even one that's actually a Creole,
yeah,
Chavacano.
yeah. We digressed a bit, but yeah, regarding all that's happening, do you think I keep picturing this world where Kamala actually won? Like she's been in with the Philippines before. Did we ever
Yeah.
think of her as a superstar, someone that's actually can actually carry a diplomacy with us?
Honestly, she might be just the nuisance to society I mean to Filipino society at large, especially if she
Because
lands here in
Chris
lands in
made a
Manila.
good
So yeah.
Chris actually made a good point. Like Kamala can actually come to the Philippines, and there's gonna be no problem with us. He made a point that it's imperative in the U.S. right now to deal with the Middle East and all. And based on the
Yeah.
culture of the Middle East and how they see women, how they treat them, what they think of them, basically as part of their. It's not even their fault. It's the culture that they're in.
Yeah, it's the culture they're in. It's the culture that they live with.
Live with.
It's
You think how
it's
receptive
part
can
of
they
their
be
life,
when it comes
their
to
way of
speaking?
life.
How receptive do you think they can be when actually discussing policies, diplomacy with Kamala compared to Trump? I figured it would be a bit, not just a bit, like a huge difference.
It's awkward. It's gonna be awkward for Middle Eastern leaders,
Yeah,
especially those who are of royal blood on constitutional monarchies in the Middle East.
So yeah, in years that there has been issues in the Middle East, I feel like Kamala would have a hard time actually garnering support there,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Particularly with all the things that she's actually supported for, like the dumb thing regarding paying for transgender, blah blah blah. When the issue that's happening right now is with Palestine and Israel.
Yeah. AKA the Holy Land. That
Yeah,
slither of area of slither
yeah.
of land uh in the in the
Which I still
Levant.
find it I
Yeah.
still find it funny that the LGBTQ is sticking up for them when these countries are actually going to be beheading them once they come out.
Not just beheading them, throwing them out of rooftops and windows
Yeah, and
with
people
food.
think what we're saying might be hyperbole, but it's not.
It's not. It's
the
the it's the way that they are. It's
Yeah,
their culture.
extremists actually made it a point to actually have evidence out there that they do it. They're not going to
Yeah,
be hiding this like some motel room uh, hidden camera video.
yeah. They're basically, they're basically saying that it's who we are, okay? It's who we are. You're not supposed to oh,
Do
you're
you
not
think
supposed to.
Trump would actually change this time around? Like, do you think he would actually do the right thing? At this
We'll
point,
see.
at this point, I don't know why I'm saying this. I might want a bit of the old Trump back.
You know what? Uh Maybe he would be more nuanced at this point, given his experience with all the bullshit that's happened in his life and his career um and his and his tenure
Yeah.
as US president. And I guess that's I guess his way of doing things now, or the him mellowing down his not just his rhetoric, but also his policies. That's actually a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, in terms of strength, I want that Trump back, just a bit less of the crazy, because his first agenda, I guess, is actually, I think everything that everyone's actually concerned with is actually the mass deportation of immigrants.
Yeah, yeah,
How he's going to be achieving that, I don't know. But for the most part, I still have concerns regarding that. As much as I want to actually support it, it's not my country. I don't actually know the issues that are happening with regards to immigration for them. But then again, since I'm outside the U.S., my country has immigration,
yeah.
and
And
some of them actually are Filipinos that are in the U.S. that are fearing deportation right now, because
yeah,
they have no
that's
idea how
also
Trump is going to be doing it, whether it's going to be just illegal or they're going to be basing it on a merit system that people will be deported. There's so many different ways you could actually go about this.
yeah. Uh, it's a wait and see at this point. Now that he's president elect again, so that's that. Speaking of immigration, we Filipinos have been uh uh how do I say this? Not really masters, but we have been accommodating migrants and other and migrants or immigrants or whatever you call them. Uh,
Travel
since
bloggers.
time mm, not really travel bloggers, but since time immemorial, because when the uh let's just say when Indianized peoples uh came to trade with us before the Spaniards came, and the Chinese, of course, and the Arabic scholars, Arabic Muslim scholars.
Yeah.
Uh, that's that's basically our first taste of not just multiculturalism or us being a melting pot or us uh you know uh yeah being exposed to other cultures.
It's not even just about us being a melting pot. It's just we feel like we should. That's always been the
Mhm.
case for Filipinos. Like we are the nursing center of Asia.
Yeah,
There's a reason
I
why we
mean,
do good in the service industry. It's just our nature to actually do so and be hospitable to those that actually are in need.
accommodate immigrants
I
and
I,
all that
I
shit. I mean,
I hear pushbacks regarding this. Like I keep hearing from from friends abroad that aren't Filipinos asking, is it true that all Filipinos are hospitable? Like I did tell them, try to come to the Philippines without any money. Ask someone for help. You will find 9 out of 10. You will find people who would want to help you, even though you're a
yeah,
stranger, right?
yeah.
So it is just ingrained in us that we are this way. It's
Serve
not even
or
about us being a melting pot. It's just how we're programmed with it. I don't know if it's the air
it's so
or
it's
if
our way of life.
it's
It's our
how
way
our
of life.
if it's how our MSG is actually created. Why we're
Yeah,
this way, but it
it's
is
our
what it
way of
is.
life. Yeah,
And the U.S. has
and
been, and America has been, I guess, at the forefront of trying to make their country a melting pot. But the problem with them is their politics don't lend itself to them to that kind of idea.
yeah.
It's gonna be hard when even between your borders or the other side of your borders, there's still contention with what's happening.
Uh-huh.
Like immigration for us is actually just coming from another country. Theirs is coming from another state.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's really, well, how should I say this? We have been harboring other nationalities and other ethnicities since time
Yeah.
immemorial, way before the Laguna copper plate inscription. And the United States has just done so technically in the 1600s when when the pilgrims of the Mayflower landed in the New World.
Yeah. Like would if Trump's gonna be handling immigrations immediately during in this term, I hope he would have actually first found a way to actually streamline the migration process in the U.S. first before the deportation, so at least people that are deported can have a reset button if they want to enter the U.S. again in a
Yeah,
legal way. Because
yeah,
I think the major
because
contention for them is that that's just the point of contention for everyone. The process of
mhm.
actually migrating to the U.S. How soon can you do it, and what would be your purpose of actually migrating there?
And the legality.
Yeah,
That's
completely the
that's the tough one.
legality. If you find a way to streamline that before you deport people, you don't lose out actually. You probably might be able to fix a problem that's been plaguing them for decades now. Like this is just one of the superpowers in the world. If they can't actually do migration right, what hope do we have with the smaller countries?
Yeah, true.
What are you checking out?
Now I'm just setting up OBS
You're
actually
setting up
because
obvious while
yeah, I
during the
mean,
stream. This is basically
why
just
not,
Inception
right?
when it comes to setting up a stream.
Yeah. I'm I'm not streaming tonight. I'm just setting this up just in
Yeah.
case I want to stream.
Hopefully everyone's having a jolly good time there in the U.S. It's what time is it? In Washington, it just turned. Is it 8? in Washington today?
9:30. 9:30.
9:30. So
Yeah,
probably
U.S. East
about
Coast
time for
is
Kamala to
9:30.
actually.
So yeah,
Well, probably about time for Kamala to actually wave the white flag. Still nothing.
still nothing from Kamala.
Yeah.
What is she kidding? Is she really kidding? I mean, when she understood that she's losing, she would have just conceded. But I don't know for whatever reason, he has just asked her supporters to
Yeah.
disperse.
The moment that
That's the
people are
best that she can
writing,
do.
yeah, the moment people are writing articles about you and where your campaign went wrong, you should be conceding by that time.
Oh yeah,
Like all the
at the very
news
least,
outlets
save
are
your
actually.
skin,
Yeah,
right?
this was 1 hour ago. Kamala Harris yet to concede as Trump wins White House. Like
See,
it,
the the media industry is having a field day now because of this.
like this is the reason why no one likes her. At least Hillary actually showed a bit of grace. It's within the same night. Like SNL did a piece on this immediately,
Immediately. Yeah.
right? This was back
Exactly. It's
with Chappelle.
Trump also made that precedent that he wouldn't concede uh during the time that he
Yeah, but
lost. So that
but that
might be Harris's retaliation for all this shit.
yeah, but that was a close vote back then. Even back then during the pandemic, it was so close. Like the number of votes that he's just asking is about 10,000. Remember that phone call that was leaked? So it was a small margin for him to actually still. That's the reason why he was still thinking that he was actually cheated or robbed of that second term. But this is you've lost a popular vote and you've lost the electoral college. What more signs do you need? Like, do you need a falling meteor with your name on it saying please wave the white flag?
But
Like I know Democrats aren't having a good time right now,
oh yeah,
but
Democrats having a good time.
are not having a good time right now.
Oh yeah,
You can see it
they're
in their
not.
eyes when they're reporting the news. Like they're trying to bite their lip every
Yeah,
time they speak the
I
name
rem
Trump or
yeah,
president.
I remember that meme. That Democrat supporter who uh kneeled to the ground and cried and did a hissy fit. He said, "Oh."
Yeah,
Yeah,
also a message to Hollywood elites and also to the celebrities that wanted that they said they were gonna self-deport if Trump wins in 2016. You missed your chance back then. You have a second chance now if you want to.
yeah. I mean,
Like we're still holding you to that.
yeah. I mean, if you migrate to the Philippines, I don't know if you're gonna survive here.
I don't care where you will actually migrate. Just true to your word.
Just do it. Just just be
No
uh
one's
just hold on to your
no
fucking
one's
word.
gonna be self-deporting just because the president was actually sworn in. That's the dumbest thing ever. It's dumb then. It's still dumb now. Like these people are so out of touch just because they have money, yet they still can't actually move. Chris, if I have money and I told people that I would be moving out of the country if Marcos gets another term, I would. Just somewhere in the province where luxury tax is actually low.
Yeah.
right? That's the only way you're gonna go. That's the only reason for you to actually go to the province if you're retiring or the luxury tax is low. So yeah, I guess that's about it. Basically,
Yeah.
at least for our country, like we've reported, I've seen reports about Filipinos' reaction to the president. It seems like a majority of the Filipinos are actually just expecting Trump to actually win. Majority of which are indifferent regarding it because all of the previous elections in the U.S. turns out to be non-consequential to us.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
we're an
it was
independent nation,
inconsequential.
to be honest. So why would I mean, if I would implement my cynical brain, it's just
Yeah.
why should I care with what's happening across the Pacific? Would that solve our problems? Would that put food on my table? No.
Unless they would,
Those kind of quips.
unless they suddenly have the balls to actually put their boot on the neck of China,
Ah,
which we're not gonna be seeing that, even in my lifetime. Like the Chinese people, they're good people in terms of trust and contention with the Philippines. I can understand
yeah,
their stance. But will the U.S. suddenly actually come to our aid when it comes to China? I don't. I doubt that.
yeah, I doubt that.
So, Ian, do you want to add anything else?
I guess on my end, I would just say that 4 more years of Trump, I don't know what to expect. It's I and I guess I can only hope that Trump would learn his lesson, or at least
Yeah.
uh modify his modify his stance on things so that he would be likable in
Yeah.
these remaining 4 years of his tenure, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I figured he'd learn his lesson. The first lesson that I've seen he'd learn is actually not using his family for a campaign. Like that Trump family has been almost completely absent during the entire campaign for his second term.
Yeah, I guess
I think that's one
it's
of the
for the
charm
better.
with this one. That's why he won.
Mm.
There's no
It's him
dumb
and
and
him
dumber
alone.
actually messing things up.
Yeah, it's whatever shenanigans that he's been into, it would just fall on him and him alone.
Yeah,
And
because
at
if
the very least, his family was not harmed when
yeah, if you
he
look at
got
all the
shot.
problems that he had during his previous stint as president, the majority of the issues that he's had is because of Tweedledum and Tweedledummer, like his two sons. Like Baron is still
Uh,
not on the list, but he still has time to be on the list.
uh,
And I guess, in a sense, Trump has to thank him because I figured the idea of him going to these podcasts with a younger audience, younger male audience,
to be
would be coming
specific.
from Barron. Like I don't see Trump actually watching Theo Vaughn.
So basically, it's his son's idea,
Yeah,
or
it could be.
yeah,
If it is, it's genius.
yeah, and maybe it's maybe it could be his
Yeah.
it could be Baron Trump's way of redeeming himself.
If it was, it's actually
And it's
genius
that
because
and
if you
that's
think about it, the voter population of the U.S. changed over the past 4 years.
Yeah. And quite honestly, that's the case. Uh, he basically uh contributed massively to put his father back in
and
office
and once again,
in the
the
Oval
Democrats
Office.
actually failed to actually grasp. They were so confident regarding the minorities vote, and as well as the women vote on this one.
Yeah,
Like they felt that if they pander too much to them, they would get their votes. Turns out, still doesn't work. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining the Two Brown Cups podcast. We're missing our milk.
Yeah, we miss Chris, but
We miss Chris.
either way,
Hopefully your
it's just yeah,
hopefully your internet is back online. You guys might see us a little later if all the things here are settled.
mm, yeah, and either way, at least at least all three of us were visible for the whole day, or
Yeah.
at least from where we are the whole
And if
day,
you
because
and if you feel
yeah,
we're too brown, just turn up your brightness. So
yeah,
that would
yeah,
sometimes that fixes it.
yeah. I mean, the light that I have here wouldn't would only go too much, or would only make me
Yeah.
white as
And if you feel the podcast has been too clean, wait for Chris.
oh
That's
yeah,
just our advice.
yeah.
Not that much
If
cursing,
if
so
he's
let me just
here,
say before we end this, fuck. Okay? So
fucking hell. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us
Fuck the
everyone,
weather.
and hopefully everyone is actually would learn to be a bit more positive after a day's sleep,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. On behalf of Ian Rignon and our missing friend Christopher Short, wherever you are, Chris, stay safe. Uh, yeah, thank you for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Follow us on Twitch and watch the replays on YouTube and subscribe. With that being said, thank you, and we'll see you in the next.